Hi, Cindy, Praise. What's good on your Bnm? Hi, guys. I'm trying to access into this Bnm safe zone. It's not working, but let's keep trying. Hello, Mrs. Moshira, Carol. Hi, Liz. My spa date was great, thank you. But I'm really sleepy. Hey, brother, Sasandesh. Hey, guys. I'm trying to add BNM. Oh, there she is.
Hi, Ivy. How are you?
Oh, fine, thank you. Good to see you. Hey,
Good to
Miss
see you.
Mutish. Let me say hi to people as we give them some time to join. Good to see you, Joy Eve.
Good to see you too.
Hey, Jerry, thank you. Igadwa, Yvonne, hi.
Yeah.
Maureen, Lady Helen, Cyprian, Miss Mutish. I see y'all. Thank you for joining. Thank you all for joining. I guess maybe we're ready to start. Hey, Akinyi. Chef Korir, Monsieur Mwangi. That's Mr. Mwangi, I think. Celestine. Hello. Good to see you people. Thank you so much for joining. So last week we didn't have a session.
Yeah.
Um, I had a very crazy week and it's actually been a crazy month. So last week I needed a break to align myself. Thank you for accepting, Joy. But today to go back like we never left, to go Dickney, to go inside. Hey, Chep Career.
Yeah.
So we are talking about childhood trauma today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So maybe as I pull up the responses I got, you can tell us more about what childhood trauma is.
Yeah, so Ivy, it's nice to see you. And I'm really excited to have this live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking, sometimes it can be a bit nerve-breaking knowing that you'd actually be watched by people more than one.
For
But I
sure.
think it's good to keep it conversational so that it can be more effective. So,
Yeah.
yeah, childhood trauma is really an incident that happens to a child between the age of 0 to 18 that
Okay.
causes a lot of emotional um, emotional effect or emotional responses that the child may not necessarily understand. And
Okay.
sometimes, most of the times, normally carry on into adulthood. So
Mm.
it's pretty much either events, both physical, happening to the person directly or indirectly. So, for
Okay.
example, if you have had um, incidences where kids themselves have been abused directly, that's
Mm.
direct, you know, abuse or trauma, or indirect in the sense that you have seen somebody else, being abused, being hurt, or just something
Mm.
that actually is kind of uncomfortable to you that eventually spiraled on into adulthood.
So it's like it can also be the environment, even if it's not directly, you're not directly targeted, you can have
Mm,
experienced someone going through it around you.
yeah, definitely. It's as long as at the end of the day, you as a person who is a child at that time, you got
Yeah.
shocked, you got somehow affected negatively. That is trauma. That is childhood trauma. Yes.
Okay. So we asked, or rather, I asked my followers who they think is to blame for childhood trauma, and I got
Yeah.
a lot of, intense responses.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
just to, repeat it, anyone who sent me anything, thank you so much for being vulnerable with me.
Mm,
Make sure, your identity is safe. I'm not going to tell anyone your name. I didn't even tell
yeah.
Joy Eve your name. So please,
Yeah.
usidhani niko hapa nimeandika jina yako, niko na secret. I got you.
Yeah.
Even when I
Yeah.
saved them, I hid the
The
names,
names.
the
Yeah.
handles. So
Yeah.
most people were saying parents and
Mm,
guardians,
yeah.
not directly blaming them just because they didn't know
Mm,
any better. So
definitely.
they were part of it. There's someone whose
Mm,
answer was actually, I remember Alisema, colonialists. She blamed the,
yeah.
she went all the way back, and I think I agree with her. Someone
Yeah.
said
Yeah.
that the colonialists really ruined our generation from Kitambo,
Mm,
and it's been passed down generations. Um,
mm,
like we're dealing with pain, we've had to deal with pain that's not even ours,
yeah, definitely.
directly.
Mm,
Um, some people, yeah, obviously blaming the abusers, you know.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Mm,
the environment that you are raised in,
yeah.
issues such as child abuse, domestic
Mm,
violence,
yeah.
um, but mostly people are saying parents because
Yeah.
kuna vitu. Actually, there's something that someone said that they didn't need to see what was happening, like
Mm,
some of the things they witnessed their parents deal with or
yeah.
put each other through was
Yeah.
unnecessary. So
Yeah.
most people have
Definitely.
said parents actually, or
Mm, yeah.
guardians, or anyone
Yeah.
around.
Mm,
Hey
yeah.
Nessie, I can see you. Nessie is saying some people blame the devil, and no, people have to take accountability. I
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
I actually saw Mike Washira. I'm not sure he's joined
Mm,
yet, but he's also
yeah.
an advocate for mental health. He actually
Yeah.
said something. He posted a video where someone was saying that we
Mm,
have to discuss the existence of horrible parents. Like
yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
just because they raised you, they took care of you,
Mm,
it's not wrong for you to recognize that they are horrible people.
yeah.
Like
Definitely.
sometimes some people are just horrible, and sometimes they end up being parents. That's just how
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
Definitely.
I don't know if let me give an example. I hope I don't offend anyone, but I don't know, like
Mm,
Uyu Hitler, I don't know if he was a
yeah.
parent, but if he was, you can
Mm,
imagine.
yeah.
you know um
Mm,
so you recognizing the toxicity that your parents put you through doesn't necessarily mean that you're not
yeah.
appreciative of what they did for
Yeah.
you.
Definitely.
But
Yeah.
whether they knew better or not, their actions
Mm,
affected you in the long term.
yeah.
So
Definitely.
mostly what I'm getting, and maybe you'll tell us if it's right, mostly
Mm,
it's the parents and the environment.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Who is to blame is majorly the adults in the
Mm,
life of the child. Doesn't necessarily
mm,
have to be the
mm.
the parents. It could just be anybody who's around the
Guardians.
child. Yeah,
Mm,
anybody who allows the child to go through a growth experience. Whoever is responsible for watching over the child, that is the person who is honestly most of the times responsible. It doesn't necessarily have to be something at home, it could also be at school. There are people who've actually been directly
definitely.
abused
In
by
school, teachers.
teachers.
That's true.
Yeah, you've been beaten horribly, and I've had a case where there's this lady who mentioned that she was actually being bullied by a teacher,
Yeah.
and she ended up eventually, like like urinating on herself one day. She was so scared to the point that
Oh,
she actually urinated on herself when she was in the presence of this teacher because of how afraid she had
scared
already
she
started
was.
becoming. Right now, if she
That's
just
so
looks
sad.
back, it's she couldn't understand why that could actually happen to her. And definitely any adult around a child really plays a lot when it comes to the experience they actually have. So I feel like, the most important thing is, if you are a person who's watching over a child, be very careful about how you treat. Please, if you do have kids, heal, heal,
Yeah,
take care of
yeah.
yourself. Just, if you have stuff that you have gone through, check them out, address them. If you're unable to manage your anger, manage them, like, go to a therapist. Look of ways that you can actually handle your emotions, so that you don't end up, hurting somebody who is helpless, doesn't necessarily know what to do. Yeah.
Can you say that maybe most of, the way we're saying the
Mm,
adults, guardians, parents,
mm,
the people
yeah.
around the children sometimes
Mm,
end up passing down the trauma subconsciously? Can you
yeah.
say that?
Yeah.
Ama,
Yeah,
ama,
definitely.
when people say that thing for Situli Chapo and we are fine, is that
Yeah,
conscious or subconscious? Because sometimes
most
I'm
of the
like,
times it's subconscious. Most of the
it's
times it's completely
subconscious.
subconscious, because, um, it's normally a result of gaslighting. So gaslighting meaning, you have been conditioned to believe that it is okay to actually go through some trauma.
Mm,
And so
mm,
if you go through it, you'll be like, the way I have been beaten, I will ensure that my child ends up, feeling, I'll beat my child the way I was beaten.
mm.
Because it's
Yeah,
like,
I
you know, yeah,
actually see people on Twitter. A lot of people say like, for you to claim that you're okay, yet you're you're
mm,
you're beating your imaginary child.
mm,
Like,
yeah,
like maybe you don't even have children, but one thing you know about your life is
mm,
me nitachapa watoto wangu. You're not okay. You're not okay.
yeah, yeah,
It's not
you
good
have
to
been
preempt
hurt.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel
Oh,
like it's very important for people to be ungaslighted and to be told, enyewe, by the way, venye ulifanyiwa haikuwa
si
poa. By the way, you
poa.
were hurt.
Mm,
By the
that's
way, first
true.
of all, I honestly, my heart honestly goes out to all the people who actually commented on all
Yeah,
those, messages, and mentioned that they were hurt. My heart
true.
goes out to all of them. I want you to actually acknowledge, that you were hurt, and it was not okay for you to honestly go through such. And it's not
Yes.
okay. Honestly, I think we should validate it, that it
Yeah.
is not okay to do the same thing to somebody who is helpless. It
Yeah.
is not okay to live life, like, um, it's like, kufinya, like, unajua venye una suppressing your emotions, and then you have to suppress with alcohol and all these
Mm,
things, it's completely not okay. Yeah, I think sometimes people need to be gaslighted and told it's not okay for what they actually went through.
that's true. Like someone
Mm,
needs to tell you that enyewe you are done,
mm,
ulifanywa vibaya.
really. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the next question was, I don't know, I think maybe you covered this when you were trying, Baba, just give me a minute. I think you actually maybe answered it when we were talking about what is childhood trauma. When you said that
Mm,
what qualifies as childhood trauma is anything
mm,
emotional that
mm,
was done to you, or you watched
yeah,
someone go through,
yeah,
any sort of physical abuse.
yeah.
Okay, just give me a minute. Say
Yeah.
hi to people.
Hi, baby. Hi.
Hello. Say hi to people.
Hello.
Yeah. So now he can go. Okay, sorry about that.
No
Um,
problem.
so yeah, you said any physical abuse, any
Mm,
emotional abuse that maybe
yeah,
happened to you or to someone around you. Most of
yeah,
the
definitely.
people were also talking about, watching their parents go through some sort of physical abuse and that it
Yeah,
affected them a lot.
yeah, yeah,
And also, having to be raised by someone who was not your parent and
definitely.
them putting you through some sort of, torturous,
Yeah, yeah,
experiences just because, as you've said, someone is helpless. So
yeah, yeah,
that qualifies as childhood trauma. Any emotional, physical, or mental abuse that you have gone
yeah.
through or that you have watched
Mm,
anyone go
other,
through.
yeah. So I think also that question comes in with a sort of need for validation
Mm,
because, you know,
mm,
somebody may ask, because of the gaslighting, gaslighting is where like you necessarily don't know, should I even be complaining? I don't think I've actually gone through as, as a bad
as someone
childhood.
else. Mm,
So somebody, what exactly qualifies, childhood trauma? And I want to let you know, it's like asking a knife, how do I know that a knife has cut
has
me?
cut me. Mm,
You know when you've been
mm,
cut, and as long as you feel the pain, as long as at the back of your mind, trust your mind knows that you have actually gone through the pain. It's
yeah.
actually true, you have been hurt. It doesn't have to be like uh, to some specific degree, but your pain is your pain and it is
And
real.
it's valid, yeah. Like I said
Yeah,
last time, hakuna pain Olympics, hakuna
yeah,
uchungu ati. Of course, some experiences are very, disturbing to even listen to. But
yeah,
just because someone has gone through worse doesn't make yours any less important or any less real.
yeah,
O-
definitely.
Okay, this one I actually got from online. There are three types of
Mhm.
trauma. I guess three levels. Can you, tell
Yeah.
us more about that?
So, so I think how I interpreted that when you asked three types of trauma, I okay. So what I saw was what are the types of trauma? So
Mm.
there's normally emotional trauma, there's physical trauma, and there is emotional, physical, and
Mental.
mental or
Okay.
psychological trauma.
Mm. Okay,
Yeah.
but
So yeah. So, but trauma can actually happen in any circumstance. So, like like childhood is it's a child event. It's a happening that happened when you were a child. There's actually
yeah.
other trauma that happen in life. There's trauma that happens when you lose somebody. There's a trauma that happens when you break up with someone. There's a trauma that
Mm.
happens from failing exam. There's a trauma that happens simply because you've lost everything, you had invested something and you actually realize, and I made the wrong decision. There's
The
a
wrong
trauma that
choice.
comes. Yeah, so trauma can happen in different events, but it majorly happens either emotionally, it happens psychologically, it happens physically. Yeah.
Okay. But when I was asking it, it's because I read this. Let me just share what I'm reading.
Okay,
It
please.
says there's acute trauma, which
Yeah.
results from one single incident. So, one
Yeah.
thing that happened to you or to someone around you
Yeah.
that you totally can't forget and you can't get over
Yeah.
and affects
Definitely.
how you behave. Then
Mm,
there's chronic trauma, which is repeated
mm,
and prolonged, such as domestic
mm.
violence or abuse. So something that you
Yeah.
constantly saw, maybe it
Yeah.
was day in, day out, it's a weekly, monthly, yearly
Yeah,
occurrence. Ulipo unaiona kila saa. That can cause
definitely.
chronic trauma. And
Definitely.
finally, the last one is complex trauma, which is
Mm,
exposure to varied and multiple traumatic
yeah.
events. often of an invasive and an interpersonal nature.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yani, I'm guessing this is, basically complex trauma just sounds like torture, honestly.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what it
definitely.
sounds like, yeah.
Yeah. So all these all these levels actually, you know, come together depending on different events that actually happen. So, like
Mm.
for example, like acute, it has to be most of the times it happens maybe when somebody has been sexually abused, and especially when there is gang abuse, and
Trigger warning,
also
yeah. Sorry guys
yeah,
about the harsh, words, the intense words. I'm sorry. I hope
yeah,
if any one of you has gone through this, I'm so sorry. Um,
yeah,
I'm sorry about it. We're about to talk about it. So if it's a bit much, it's okay to leave and come back.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, so for example, if somebody has already gone through like maybe gang rape and some of the things like colonialism, you see, like there was a lot of torture that actually happened that time where people were actually like taken to prison and beaten down. So, it really depends with the different events that actually happen. And I think that's where now healing comes in, differently from different people who have
Mm.
experienced the levels of,
Because of the different levels, you'd say.
yeah, definitely,
So
yeah, yeah,
something also like maybe if you are staying with someone, a
mm,
guardian who maybe wouldn't feed you, like
yeah, yeah,
the sort of punishment would be to withhold food.
yeah,
The sort of punishment would be something like, those stories you hear ati,
mm,
alikuwa
mm,
anachoma kijiti, anaichoma
yeah,
kwanza alafu ananichapa nayo, ama
yeah,
you're being hung up upside down to be beaten and you're a child. So
yeah,
such things just tend to stick, you know. I
yeah,
remember in high school, like not in high school, in primary school actually.
mm, mm,
You know how we used to be beaten for failing,
yeah,
like
yeah,
like so the whole class, it used to be, I guess at that time it was funny because kila mtu
yeah,
alikuwa anachapwa.
yeah,
So I remember there's one time it was happening, and one of my classmates just told the teacher that, me hautanichapa, you know.
yeah, yeah,
And of course, the teacher is like, "Oh, who are you talking to like that? Nini
yeah,
nini." But
yeah,
they ended up in a tussle, and that classmate of
yeah,
mine ended up beating the teacher.
wow,
He ended up caning the teacher. Then he broke the cane, threw it away, and he walked out. So
yeah,
luckily for him, we were in my primary school was actually pretty, what's the word? Advanced.
mm,
Sorry.
yeah,
Sorry about that. Because like
yeah,
our headmistress wasn't into caning that much. So when they
yeah,
talked to him about it, trying to find the root of the cause, I remember
mm,
he said that, he has to stop his dad from beating the mom most nights. So there's no
yeah,
way he's coming to school to be beaten. Yet yesterday
wow.
he was trying to stop something like that from happening. So
Yeah,
it's something,
yeah,
a teacher who doesn't care will see it as disrespect when
yeah,
someone says mi hautani chapa, not wanting to know or care that this person,
that's what's
like
actually
unlike
happening.
other children who sleep at night,
Mhm.
eat, sleep, kiss their parents good night and sleep, he's in a
Yeah.
war zone.
Mm,
You
mm,
understand? So,
mm,
I think the other thing maybe as adults we should learn to do is try to
yeah,
get to the root of a child's actions and not
definitely.
necessarily result to beating that
Yeah.
misbehavior away, because
Mm,
most times
yeah.
it's a sign for something else.
Um, there's this person who I've been working with, and they actually allowed me to share this, and we actually
Okay.
wanted to just talk about, his childhood trauma, and he said that he used to be a very, very bright boy in school, and he used to always top most of the exams. But the only problem is that he consistently used to sleep in class.
Mm.
So, the teachers will be like, wow, this boy is pretending anajifanya because he's always been topping. Everyone is struggling with
Mm.
it. For him, he's
Mm.
sleeping and he'll eventually top. But then when we started talking, the issue is that he had a sleeping disease.
Mm.
And
Oh
because he
wow.
used to be so much gaslighted at home, he was so stressed that he was unable to sleep at home. And sometimes he actually mentioned that he used to sleep in classes he actually enjoyed. And he's like, sometimes he doesn't even understand how he used to pass exam because, yeah, honestly, it's like he's in school as a zombie. And
Wow.
sometimes, honestly, it's very important for adults to honestly check on kids. Kids go through
Yeah.
a lot. They
Yeah.
go through a lot, and sometimes they just need validation. They need to be told, what you went through was not right. It's not okay when this guy shouts at you. Come in, simama hapo
Mm.
katikati na useme bana, by the way, that was wrong.
Mm.
And it
That's
may
true.
not you may not necessarily do a lot, but that the fact that you have validated that reality in that child's mind, it will go a long way for that child. When the
So
parent shout at them na unaona yenyewe that hiyo issue yenyewe iko
overboard.
ati ya kushutiwa hivyo. Sometimes you
Mm.
just somehow unamuita tu namwambia, by the way, I agree, by the way, that issue haikuwa ya kushautiwa, na by the way, I'm really sorry about that
Mm.
child will always remember that, and it may really protect that child from a lot of trauma in the future.
So to listen to children and to validate their feelings.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
like when people, point out the fact that even as
Mm,
adults sahi, mtu akikushautia,
mm,
even if you're on the wrong, let's say ukweli umefanya makosa, hautaki
mm.
kushautiwa. So why do we do
Yeah,
it to children? Is it because they can't do
yeah,
anything back? And if that's
yeah.
the reason, then
Mm,
you're not treating the child like someone with rights. You're treating the
yeah,
child like someone
definitely.
you have dominion over, and
Yeah,
that's not
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So,
Mm,
we have to just remember that children are little people, even if
yeah,
they can't necessarily articulate what their problem is as easily
yeah,
as we can. They can't fight back.
mm, yeah,
We need to be, it's our responsibility as the adults around them. And this goes to everyone. It's not just about having children, it's your
yeah,
responsibility as an adult to protect the kids around you.
yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Okay, so the next question was, what problems can childhood trauma cause in,
yeah.
in one, the child, and later in
Mm.
life?
So most of the times, and kids cannot generally like say, but most of the times they experience um, a lot of emotions that they cannot generally express, and so most of
Mm,
the times, because they don't know how they are feeling, it's like they're feeling bad, but
mm.
still at home they're holding a mouth that don't feel bad about it. And then so what
Usilie,
happens?
nitakupea kitu ya kulia.
Yeah,
That
so
one,
most
that
of the
one we've
time,
all been told, yeah.
yeah, so you feel so disappointed, you feel hurt, you feel so, to the point that now when you go to school you find yourself getting into trouble, and the people who are supposed to be like supporting you are not now on your, so you are not on your side. So as a child you get yourself into trouble. Most of the times hawa watoto wenye wanakuanga bully is because they've
Mm,
been gaslighted so much at home, to the point that
mm.
the emotions that they're expressing are the emotions that they have been
Building
subjected
up.
to.
Mm,
They've
mm,
been subjected to all this pain, hurt, and then they do not have any other outlet. So they come, they bully kids, they bully other kids. They are so
mm,
angry with teachers. Na wewe unaona as if this kid is generally rebellious, and
mm.
and then you end up hurting the child even more. And I feel
Wow.
like sad. So many people have
Mm.
been victims of, you know, like teachers not being able like to understand them, you know,
So to say,
you who you,
it's a misunderstanding. Like no one gets
yeah,
you, and also no one is
yeah.
trying at it to get you.
Yeah, and then as a child, you see Shule, it's not safe. At home, it's not safe. So what do? You withdraw. And then now
Mm.
it now spirals into adulthood. And now what happens in adulthood? You start having relational issues. You can't trust. And then you channel the same anger to your wife. You're always beating your wife. And then if it is emotional, you are constantly depressed, you're stressed. And sometimes it's not just sometimes that because of the stuff that are happening currently, but because of the stuff that have happened. The things you believe in, the realities that you believe in are not even like are stuff that are realistic. And so you find yourself enforcing, unrealistic things into people's lives. Yeah, and then
Mm.
sometimes even physical stuff that happen, like you lack sleep, you're constantly having nightmares. I
Mm.
had somebody who said they're constantly having nightmares about how the dad would beat the mom. And it's just, there's a lot of stuff that actually happen physically, there's emotionally, there's relationally. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, just for future reference, I never want you to feel like tunasema ni wababa tu wanachapanga wa mama. You know, this is a safe
Yeah,
space. This is a safe space for all genders. So we're going to
definitely.
be using the word spouse or partner.
Yeah,
You end
yeah.
up beating your partner because, you know, we have to also just be aware of the fact that sometimes
Yeah,
it's women who, you know, still
yeah.
exert the things that they've gone through.
Mhm.
Just because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not talked about doesn't mean it doesn't exist, you
yeah,
know,
definitely.
any sort of abuse. And I actually, it's one of those things where, you know, I think
Mm,
that's why we even have some sort of shame,
yeah,
admitting the fact that, oh, maybe my mom did this to me. That's not true.
yeah,
I'm just saying an example. But you know,
yeah,
you don't want to, you don't want to say my mom did this to me, my dad did this to me, because
yeah,
unasikia vibaya, cause kuna mtu
yeah,
atakwambia he, afadhali uko na wazazi. Yeah, and
yeah,
like, you know, two things can be true at the same time. I have
yeah,
parents and they did me bad. You
yeah,
know, not everyone has a good relationship with their mother or their father.
yeah,
Not
definitely.
everyone feels safe around their family members. Some people's
Yeah, yeah,
safety comes away from their family
yeah,
members.
yeah,
So
definitely.
it's just, I guess it's just good to be conscious of how we speak, in
Mm,
regards to people's reasons or where they're coming from in regards to their
yeah,
childhood trauma.
definitely. Yeah.
Just because mtu anasema story yenye you can't believe a parent would do that doesn't mean it's not
Mm,
existing,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
So what I got from that question, the problems that it can cause in children, it's probably acting out, like you're saying,
mm,
in terms of tantrums, bullying, you know, just
yeah,
what is the other word that they say? When you're not, you know, you don't like to follow rules, you know, um,
rebellion.
yes, rebellion. Those can
Yeah,
be the problems that can show in a child who
yeah.
possibly has some trauma that they are enduring or that they've already
Mm.
gone through. And then
But
as an
also like withdrawing, you can find
or
maybe a kid
also
is very
withdrawing, very
quiet.
quiet.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Wale
Yeah.
wenye sasa hawana anything ya kusema
The
because people are
introverted
not,
ones.
yeah, because people are not listening to them.
Yeah, yeah. Most
And
of the
also,
times,
mhm,
mm,
sorry.
yeah, so most of the time, sometimes you can know that a child is extroverted by the way they respond to, something
Mm.
that has happened. So most of the times, an extroverted child will express themselves in a more, yay! I mean,
Yeah,
they will
yeah,
be all out, but then an
yeah.
introverted child will be more, withdrawn. They barely have friends. They're always shy. they they're always anxious, they barely have friends, they're unable to have friends, they're unable to maintain friends,
Mm.
yeah. So
So
definitely.
it manifests differently according to someone's
Yeah,
personality. That's what you'd
yeah,
say.
definitely. Yes,
And
yes.
also in adulthood, the same. There's
Yeah,
people who,
definitely.
um, I guess because of their trauma, are people who avoid
Mm,
any conflict. I know
yeah.
we've all experienced people like that. Kukosana tu kidogo,
Mm,
ye kazi yake ni ku walk away,
yeah,
hataki tu
yeah,
kudeal nayo. And then there's
yeah.
someone who, because of their trauma, they're always on fight
Mm,
mode. Everything is an
yeah,
argument.
definitely.
They're always ready to
Yeah,
fight. They're always ready to go. They're
yeah,
always ready to put you down, make you feel worse.
yeah,
If they feel
yeah,
bad, they make
definitely.
you feel worse.
Mm,
So I guess
yeah,
your personality also has a lot to do with how your trauma will manifest itself.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
I'm reading someone's comment over here. Hey Mo, thank you for this. She says it can cause a
Mm,
victim mentality in adulthood,
mm,
mostly because the
mm,
child feels that they can only get attention if other people around them feel bad, and that's how they
yeah,
feel seen. Oh, that's a
yeah,
good one. That's a
yeah,
good
yeah,
one. Can you talk
definitely.
more about that?
Mm. Oh, the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Oh,
that I've
so
just read, the victim
victim.
mentality point. Like, mtu lazima
Yeah.
ajifanye akiwaishe, oh, life doesn't happen for me, oh, this happened to me, oh, I'm always
Mm,
unlucky, nothing goes right for me,
um, yeah.
because they think that
So
unless someone feels pity or bad for them, no one will listen.
yeah, definitely. So sometimes it's just the the need for validation, because most of the times I don't get that validation from the parent.
Mm,
And as I
mm,
said, people have different expression. There are people who actually, even if they can be introverted, they can be extroverted, but may tend to withdraw. But there are others who actually may tend to go out there and use different mechanism to get that. And
mm,
it could be an attacker to may use like stuff to help them, like what wafeel woishe. It could be
mm,
sometimes even like causing havoc so that everybody can look at them and see, enye
mm,
huyu ni mrui. But sometimes they just want,
Oh, wow.
and eventually when they realize the havoc they've created, they're like, I didn't think, I just wanted somebody to see me.
Wow.
I didn't want people to hate me. And these are the people eventually, they
Mm.
stay on their own, and they're angry, they're sad, they feel empty, because the thing they intended to have, they didn't know how to have it. And so that's where now healing comes in. It's very important to know how to change bad habits with good habits. There are things you can get the right way. You don't necessarily need to do some things, because honestly sometimes it will push people away. I think
Or
just
like
acknowledge.
you don't need to cause havoc to get attention.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and sometimes even like acting in some way to make people like want to pity you. Sometimes you may actually sometimes even lose friends, because it will eventually show. People will eventually
Mm,
know, and it will not
mm.
necessarily like bring like a positive result as you
Outcome.
intended. Yeah,
Yes.
and I feel
Someone.
like it's,
Mm.
yeah, and I feel like it's very important for people who've actually gone through trauma to know that it's okay. It's okay. Whatever happened, it happened, and it is not your fault. You're not the one who caused it. But I
Yes.
feel like now that you're already above 18, there's a way forward. You can have a peaceful life from here.
Actually, one of my friends was saying, and it's a quote that's been going around, that your
Yeah.
trauma is not your fault, but your healing is your
Mhm.
responsibility.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think you can only use blaming, your parents, your environment, the way you grew up.
Mhm.
You can blame
Yeah.
it on you can blame it on others for so long. You
Mm.
understand? At some
Mm.
point, you have to take charge of your healing, of
Yeah,
what you want
yeah,
your life to
definitely.
be like, what you
Yeah,
want your
yeah,
relationships to be like. You can't always be like,
yeah.
kwanza this statement that people say ati mi nakwanga tu
Mm,
hivyo, itabidi uzoe.
yeah,
Hakuna cha kukua
yeah,
tu hivyo. You need to work on
yeah.
it, especially if you're aware that you act a certain way because of
Mm,
something that you went through. Awareness is
mm,
the first step, and the next step is healing and changing.
mm. Yeah, definitely.
Someone has asked if I think if personalities come from childhood trauma. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think you already have a personality, maybe to
yeah,
some
it's a
extent.
preference. Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
personality is somebody's preference. So
Mm.
it's what makes you, it's what like defines, makes you different from other people. So, but yeah, there's some aspect of your traits. There's a difference between personality and there's a difference
And
between
traits.
trait. So
Okay,
there are
that's
some
good.
traits that you may show that are actually from trauma. I think that's where now like changes, like it actually brings a difference. But your personality is pretty much the same. It's different from every other person. Your likes, they may look similar, but most of the times you're always unique. Your desires are always unique because your personality is always unique. But traits can differ. You can have traits that are not healthy, that may need changing, especially through healing.
Oh, yeah. So someone is Mo has, reiterated and said, there's some people who maybe grew up in a household where, their
Mm,
parents were always fighting. So
mm,
if when you're in a relationship, you tend to, just cause fights because you think that's what
yeah.
being in a relationship is. We unaona ni kama tupigani hatupendani. By the way, those things
Mm,
are, I've had many people say such statements,
mm,
and I have to
mm,
admit that at some point in my life I was also like that. The way
mm,
people used to cry in music videos, ile yenye mnafight alafu mtu anafunga mlango, ana slide hapo
yeah.
chini hivi, ati nyi wote mna slide kwa mlango, ati venye tu mmetoka kufight. Me, I used to think you have to have that.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly. I used to think,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 you have to slide on the door out of pain and agony for what you
Yeah.
said. And then somehow
Yeah.
tomorrow it's all going to be right. But we're here to say that si
Mm,
lazima. It doesn't have to be
last.
toxic. Disagreements don't have to make you feel like your heart is being gouged out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone is asking, I don't know, usinicheke, me, I used to think that's how it is.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's okay. We all thought that way, so TV
Oh, I
has a
can
lot of influence in that way. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
please, Fidelis, I can't, I don't think I've found the first part of your comment. Please DM me and I'll see how to respond to you.
Mm,
Anyway, so we've said, people have to take charge of their
yeah.
healing. It's
Yeah, definitely.
when Joy Eve says it's okay, it doesn't mean that what you
Mm,
went through was okay. It just means
yeah.
that it's real. You're valid. Your
Yeah.
pain is valid. Your trauma
Yeah.
is valid. But now
Yeah.
that you know that this thing messed me up and made me think about life or people in a certain
Yeah.
way, you need to take
Mm,
charge of your healing. You don't get
yeah.
to spread trauma around just because you
Mm,
went through it. It's not fair.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially to children, you
Mm,
don't get to do
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think we've covered two questions: problems that childhood
Mm,
trauma can cause in kids,
mm,
and then the symptoms of childhood trauma in adults. We've said
yeah.
victim mentality. We've said
Mm,
our watu wa kutry to recreate their, what they grew up around. This
yeah.
includes physical violence,
Yeah.
because
Definitely.
you think I remember watching a feature on BBC where some
Mm,
men were having a kamkunji saying, if you don't beat your wife, then you don't love her. I'm like,
yeah.
what? And it's
Yeah.
very surprising to watch something like that in 2022 and actually realize that
Mhm.
in this day and age, there's still people who
Yeah.
think, he beats me because he loves me, or she hits me because she loves me. Ati, us when we fight tunashikiana visu and it's okay. No, 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 no,
Mm-hmm.
no. No, 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 no. It's not okay.
It's
Um,
not okay.
there's a lot of people in prison because of such things,
Yeah,
because you
yeah.
you ignore the red flags, you ignore such.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if someone brings that out of you, there's no need even to be around them. if
Yeah,
if when you're arguing, or if you have a disagreement with someone you love, and you feel like
yeah.
beating them, or you feel like stabbing them, that is very
Mm,
unhealthy.
very
And
healthy and toxic.
exactly, you need either help or
Mm-hmm.
sorry about that, you need help or to get away from them. It's not safe. It's not
Definitely.
safe to be around people. It only takes a
Mm-hmm.
second for you to
Mm.
act on such an emotion.
Yeah, you see that the issue with people who actually see that it's okay to actually be violent, it's because they've been gaslighted to think that it's okay. But I feel like the first thing, and I feel that's why mental health awareness is very important. That's why we actually, most of the times mental health awareness is honestly reparenting people, is
Mm.
honestly giving them different perspective. And so that they'll be like, oh my God, kumbe the stuff I was actually going through was not okay. I mean,
It's
I thought it was okay. So most of the times people just need to
or
be
I was
informed.
forced to
You
feel
know,
that it was okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So most of the time someone doesn't know. Yeah, najua tu vita ni vita. The mother you would anachukuanga kiboko anasema we kwenye nitakupata leo. And then
Mm.
they are constantly beaten. And most of the times when they grow up, they say, what if I was never beaten consistently? I would have never been here. But
That's what they
then
say.
honestly,
Yeah.
yeah. So and then you see as if it's okay to consistently now beat now your kids the way you've been beaten violently, and you realize you're making more. It's just that somebody doesn't know. And I feel like, for anybody who is in that position, our work is to just give you information. Take it in your
And let,
heart and
yeah.
allow yourself, let it transform you, let it change you. Allow yourself to heal, change from the stuff you've been doing to now better, healthier ways, so that you can now pass it on to your kids and have a healthier relationship.
So,
Yeah.
like, basically, we are all adults and we all have reason. Like
Yeah.
when you get older, the whole process
Mm,
of childhood to adulthood is you learn how to
mm,
think for yourself. So if
yeah,
something
definitely.
that you are taught or that you've gone through doesn't feel right
Mm,
to you, you actually
yeah.
have the tools to research, to learn,
Yeah.
to unlearn, and to relearn
Mm,
a better way to
yeah.
go about what you feel like wasn't done
Yeah.
well for you. You don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
I hate when people say, oh, ati wa mama wa kitambo are better than us. Times
Mm,
have changed. I'm not,
mm,
people are not just going to sit there quiet. In fact, I
yeah.
like to say that, you know society has become more vocal because of the
Mm,
generation that raised us before. They taught us to speak
yeah.
up, and
Yeah.
this goes for both genders. Like, we know better
Definitely.
than suffering under silence, in silence.
Yeah.
And for the people
Mm,
who do that just because that is the norm, yani
mm,
umeshikiliwa na vitu hazikusaidii, and you don't have
yeah.
to do that. The human experience is ever changing, and you're allowed to
Yeah.
change your opinion. You're
Yeah.
allowed to
Definitely.
change how you do things. You're allowed to
Mm,
start new traditions. Wacha watoto wako
yeah.
waseme, me, my mom, my dad used to listen to me.
Yeah.
Before I was punished, I would understand what I did wrong. Sikuwahi chapwa tu kwa sababu. You know,
Mm,
we
yeah.
have the we
And
have
it
the
is not,
power to change.
yeah. And it is not disrespectful. It is not, hey guys, tunajua in culture African unaambiwa ati you have, it's disrespectful to not follow, continue with a specific cultural way of doing stuff. You know what? it is not disrespectful. Please be validated. It is not
Yes.
disrespectful. Yeah.
Yes, you have a right to, come up with your new norms. Ni sawa,
Mm,
it's okay. And
yeah.
finally, Joy Eve, for the last question, which I think is a very important one. Does
Yeah.
it ever go away?
Yeah.
Childhood
It
trauma
does.
ever go away? Ama tutaumia milele, we'll just always be shaking when we see some things. Manze,
Yeah.
ya vitu tumepitia. And by the way, not only parents, even kids have
Mm,
trauma they've caused each other. And I
yeah,
think people don't
definitely.
people don't talk
Yeah.
about it because again, our kids are scared to talk. As kids, we're scared to talk
Mm,
about the reality of what
yeah. Yeah.
we're going through. So does it ever
Mm,
go away? Will it ever get to a point where I'm aware, I'm taking steps
yeah.
towards being better, and finally I'm free from my trauma? Will it ever get to that
So
point? Does it
first
ever
of
get to that
all,
point?
first of all, healing is very intentional. So there are people who have actually like overcome childhood trauma without therapy, using
Mm,
self-help skills, sometimes using spiritual means, like sometimes just listening to encouraging things, changing their way of thinking, and you end up seeing these people are like using what they experience for the better. They're no longer survivors, they are thrivers from what they
mm.
actually experience. So if I think first of all, being aware of what's actually happening gives you the space to start now being intentional, allowing yourself to be ungaslighted, and yeah, just start the journey. It can go. It's an experience. You just need the right environment, providing the safety you did not have kitambo, providing the parenting you did not have. You'll be good to go. There's nothing impossible. You can heal, you can get better. It's
You
never too late.
you can take your power back.
Yeah, you can
Literally, like
definitely
that
take.
that situation doesn't have to hold so much power in your life that ukisikia kitu kama hii ama ukikuwa in a situation where someone
Yeah.
is talking to you a certain way that you shut down. You can actually get to a point where you're like, no, this is not how, I will not allow you to talk to me like that. I will not
Yeah.
allow you to treat me like this. This is not an
Yeah.
environment I have to be in.
Mm,
And
yeah.
I think, as you're saying, once you are intentional about what you want for yourself, you
Yeah.
already know what you won't take. Vitu
Yeah.
kuna vitu ziki happen, that's a no go zone for you, and you won't let that person continue
Yeah.
making you feel like a small child who has no
Yeah.
power.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I
Wow.
feel like also one of the most important things is some of the things that people need to look into is also what is the process of actually healing.
Mm,
So what is the process? What's some of the things that you can implement? I feel like one of the things is, you know, try and be healthy, try and be healthy. So if now you are aware that honestly the pain that's happening within you is because of something your relative did to you, something someone uko nyuma did to you, you know, try and be healthy in the sense that now look for someone to help you if you can't help yourself, and avoid taking alcohol or
mm,
taking drugs that suppress
drugs.
that, because as much as it will suppress that one for like a small time, it will eventually like come out, and you'll definitely experience the depression, the anxiety, or they will eventually merge. So try and be healthy too. Acknowledge I've been hurt, and I want you to give yourself some slack. You are helpless at that time. There's really nothing you would have done,
Yeah, but
like
that's
there's
not
some
the case as an
situations.
adult. Yeah.
Yeah, like like when I think there are people who actually like wonder maybe they've been molested when they were young. I'm really sorry for and they found themselves not fighting at that time because they didn't know even what sex was. And then now that you are grown, you're like, is it that I wanted to? Why didn't I
Mm,
fight? Why didn't I?
mm.
Man, it's not you didn't know,
You
and
didn't know
you were
better
just,
and you are not in a position to
yeah,
fight back or to stand up for
yeah.
yourself.
No beating yourself, cut yourself some slack. Also deal with the guilt. Don't beat yourself, forgive yourself. And also don't isolate yourself from people. Don't usijitenge ati because you're afraid that people are going to judge you or treat you. Because sometimes it can be unconscious that you are separating yourself because maybe you're
Mm,
fearing something else will treat you the way you are treated. Don't isolate yourself. Know that there are people who can supply, a safe place. Know that there are people who can help you heal. There are good people out there. So do not usijitenge. Come out, speak out, and allow yourself to start this healthy journey of becoming free from all the trauma. Yeah.
preach, Joy. That's a good way to finish the live. Take
Yeah.
control, take your power back, forgive
Yeah.
yourself.
Mm,
It wasn't your fault that you went through anything that,
yeah.
makes you know and recognize that you have
Yeah.
trauma from your childhood.
Yeah.
Awareness
Yeah.
is everything. And
Yeah.
I also like to say anything that you dream of, like a stable
Mm,
relationship where you feel
yeah.
safe, secure. And this
Mm,
doesn't necessarily mean romantically, in terms of
yeah.
friendship, in terms of work,
Mm,
in terms of,
yeah.
with your extended family members. What you want
Mm,
in terms of a healthy, safe space, it
yeah.
exists.
Yeah.
And
It does.
you don't have to take anything just because ati, oh, you have to appreciate that uko nao hata kama ni wa toxic aje.
Mm,
You don't have to
mm,
accept any toxicity. By the way, there's people
yeah.
who are thriving with chosen family, like
Yeah.
mtu
Mm,
amepata watu, you've grown up and you found a tribe that loves you for you
yeah.
better
Yeah.
than the one you
Yeah.
were born from. And there's nothing
Definitely.
wrong about that. Go to
Yeah.
where you're safe. You deserve to be
Mm,
safe, you deserve to be secure, you deserve to be heard. Your feelings are
yeah.
valid, and
Definitely.
your childhood trauma doesn't have to hold you in chains for the rest of your life. So
Mm,
I
no,
really
it
hope that
doesn't.
everyone who's been watching this live, the people who've said from start to finish, the people who've
Mm,
joined us, the people
yeah.
who've commented, please, I hope you've
Mm,
learned something from today's
yeah.
topic,
Mm,
that
mm,
despite your childhood trauma not being your fault, it's your
yeah.
responsibility to heal and to do better for
Yeah.
yourself, the people around you,
Yeah.
and especially
Mm,
the kids around you.
yeah.
So that
Definitely.
pia wewe usiraise watoto wako na trauma tafadhali. If you can help it, please help it.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
Fidelis, I know you have sent me a DM. I will check it out, and if need be, I
Mm,
will ask Joy Eve to help me respond to you, so don't
yeah.
worry. Thank you
Mm,
everyone who's joined. Mogi na kuona, thank you. Ruita, Liz Tieng, Keith, Akon Sharon, Lea Cheps,
yeah.
Iggy Marie, Kosgei Faye.
Mm,
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. I'm going to do better in terms of summarizing what we've talked about today and making it
yeah.
into a post. I'm going to write the 5 questions we've talked about and the responses that Joy Eve gave us. I'm going to post
Yeah.
them on my page later, and you can also follow Bnm Safezone. They're a
Yeah.
virtual counseling center, and you can get therapy, at the comfort of your home or wherever it is that you are.
Yeah.
As long as you have some Wi-Fi, you're good to
Mm,
go. And in terms of
yeah.
cost, they're also very
Mm,
lenient, and you can talk to
yeah.
them about your situation. Please don't
Mm,
feel like it's not accessible to you.
yeah.
Reach out to Bnm Safe Zone if you feel like you need
Mm,
some therapy, and they will be sure to help you. I'm still going on with my sessions, and I'm
yeah.
loving them. This is actually my therapist, Joy Eve. So
Yeah.
I am sharing my person with you who's helping me unpack some of these things. And just know you're not
Yeah.
alone. We all have
Yeah.
problems, but we don't have to
Definitely.
let them define us any longer
Mm,
than they have to. So,
yeah.
with that said, I think we've gotten to the end of the live.
Yes, we have.
Um, yeah, it's been a very good session. Um,
It has.
Oh, well, Leah Chaps, thank you for your comment. I won't read it out loud. I'm shy, but thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for joining. Next week's topic will be posted by Sunday. Yeah,
yeah,
and let's keep engaging. Please, let's keep making mental wellness a thing and therapy
yeah,
something that's
yeah,
not so odd to ask for and to need.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Asanteni, my peeps. Thank you so much.
Bye,
Thank you so
guys.
much. Bye
All right.
bye.
Bye.
Until next
Okay.
week, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Haya, nimebaki kuambia kwa heri vizuri. So see ya later. Honestly, I'm waiting to get off so I can bite one of these. Nimekuwa tu nikiziangalia, that's my reward. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for engaging. Again, I want to repeat that anything I ask and anything that you share with me will always be a secret. I will never, reveal your name or what you've shared. I won't ever say, oh, nani ameniambia. I'm not going to do that. I'm not in the business of that. I just want you to feel safe and okay to open up. Like I've said, please follow Bnm _ Safezone for any virtual counseling services. This makes it easy to, access therapy wherever you are. And yeah, it's also at a fair price. So, Jongelele, please just take the step. It's such a brave step to take, but it's worth it. So, I love y'all. I gotta go now. Good night.